What we have here is a 2000, I'm going to say this one's probably a 2007 model MacBook, and gosh, I've worked on more of these than I've worked on iMacs in my career so far. When my organization, what we have here is a circa 2007 MacBook. God, these things, I've spent a lot of time fixing these over my career, and mostly hard drive failures and the occasional logic board failure. And they really weren't bad machines. I mean, the organization that I work for really works these suckers to death. So, and they get handed off from one person to the next. They could be cycled through 5 or 6 students a day, and they've been doing it for well, 9 years. And you know, for the most part, they're pretty durable. I mean, they hold up okay. This is actually the first time I've seen one that didn't have a cracked leading edge to the keyboard. It was actually the subject of an extended service bulletin or extended service program through Apple. What they would do is they would replace your keyboard assembly free of charge if there were any cracks along the leading edge. And as an Apple service technician, I've probably replaced about 100 of those under warranty, maybe more. For that extended service program. Actually, no, it was more. I think it was like 200. I've had a lot of these apart, and this one actually belongs to a friend of mine. It was given to him by somebody that he knew very well, and he needed a laptop, and this is what he got. I'm going to show you how to clean the keyboards. This is a method that I don't know if anybody else has been doing, but I figured this out by accident. One of the problems with these Macs, now this is a bad example, the ones that I have at work are almost blackened, but you can clean the keyboards and make them look, I swear to God, brand new again, using a magic eraser and some Windex or rubbing alcohol. I prefer rubbing alcohol, but the Windex is sitting right here. So all you do is you lightly buff the surface of the keyboard. Don't worry about the keys, they're not going to get picked up or anything. You're not going to break them off. And then you just kind of work your way to the back here. This won't harm anything. I've done this to all of our MacBooks every summer for 7 years. It's about 7 years ago, I think, is when I figured this out. And I'll tell you how I figured it out. So one of our employees, of course, then you clean it back up with a clean rag. Takes care of it. One of our employees at work, one of her responsibilities is to service, I kid you not, she services the Texas Instruments graphing calculators every year during the summer months. And she takes, we have, hundreds of these things. And she realized that the magic erasers would clean the surface of the calculator to make it look almost new again. And it would remove any marker markings, or it'll remove just about any imperfection from the surface. And if done long enough, or if the magic eraser is used enough, it'll actually start removing the silkscreen printing. So you got to be real careful about that. What makes the magic erasers so magical is that it's just a block of melamine foam. This one's pretty worn out, but they're just melamine foam blocks. Melamine is actually the same material that these cabinet faces are made out of. These are melamine cabinet faces. And it can be formed into a variety of substances, one of those being foam. And it has a very mild abrasive property to it. It's, I think it's less abrasive than a polishing pad. It just enough. And here's what it does. I think this is actually a closed cell foam. And what it does is, as you rub it on a flat surface, the cells compact and they form like a hard, brittle not brittle, but like a hard wearing surface. And it's very intriguing. And because it's flexible, it gets into the pores and the texture of any plastic surface. To clean the screens, I just use Windex. There's no magic needed here. There's no special chemicals. Just don't spray it directly on the screen. That's the trick. Because window cleaner contains ammonia, you especially don't want it to get in there because it will corrode anything metal that it touches, including electronic components. Keep in mind, Windex does, just like bleach, Windex will destroy electronics. So you want to be very careful when using it. So we now have made this laptop look relatively new again in just a few seconds. Of course, I was blabbering along with my camera there, but just a few seconds worth of work and we've got it almost new again. Look at that. Beautiful. Obviously, the yellowing is a chemical reaction with the fire retardants in the plastic. And now this is actually an issue of not controversy, but a lot of debate, whether it's UV radiation or whether it's oxidization or whether it's heat exposure that causes yellowing of plastics, or a combination of all three. That really is a subject of debate in the electronics preservation community. Not sure why, but well, it is. I mean, there's a lot of different theories. So we're going to also clean the back side of it. So what are we doing with this laptop? Why am I bothering with it? Well, this gentleman is a good friend of mine. I've known him since I was 6 years old. He was the neighborhood junk man, and he's the reason why I was able to do a lot of what I did as a kid. Fixing lawnmowers, riding dirt bikes, fixing mopeds. He worked in the local dump, the town dump, and he would bring home treasure troves of stuff. Every day he came home, his car was filled with junk. I didn't realize it then, but I know now that this gentleman is an absolute hoarder. But it didn't matter to me then because he brought free junk for me to play with. So whether it be a small engine, a weed whacker, lawnmower, lawn tractors, I had all the stuff I would ever want as a kid. I just had to fix it. That was the catch. My first VCR, my first color TV, all things that I got from him. Now, I was never good with electronics, but anything mechanical, remote-controlled cars, stuff like that, I was a whiz. I really was. I could make any small engine run again. That was my thing. But this laptop is a little dirty in areas that I'm not used to seeing. The machines that I work with at work, does that make any sense? I worked with at work. Yeah, I guess we'll let it roll. They all have fairly patternistic dirt accumulation, if you will. But the way they fail is very patternistic. The cracks that I see in the casings, it's all in a pattern. I always see cracks in the hinge area, that hinge cover in the middle. I always see cracks in the keyboard leading edge. And I don't normally see dirt under the battery compartment. That's a new one for me. But we're going to clean it away anyway. Why not? Let's make this thing beautiful again. We're also going to bump it up to 4 gigs of RAM. Now, I think it can only accept 3 gigs. If I recall, I think I was only able to get these up to 3. But I'm going to put 2 2-gig modules in. If it only takes 3, it takes 3. No harm, no foul. This is going to be a freebie. I'm not charging him for this, obviously. For everything he's done for me as a kid, I can't thank him enough. Between him and my dad was a very self-reliant kind of guy. He never paid anybody to do anything for him. He was an auto mechanic. He was a carpenter. Still is. He's still around. But plumbing, carpentry, electrical, automotive repair, small engine repair, motorcycle repair. He never really got into electronics, though. Never really did, and that's where I get it from, obviously. Anything that he could, that we needed done, he did it no problem. And between him and John, who supplied me with all the great things I learned to fix when I was a kid, it was a pretty interesting life when I was younger. Very interesting, very unusual upbringing, I guess. A lot of my friends, their parents were wealthy, so you know they got all the stuff they wanted and knew, and they never had to learn how to do anything on their own. So there's something to be said for that. Now there's some markings here. I'm going to try to scrub them away. I'll show you the awesome power of the magic eraser. No, it's not powerful enough. Not enough magic in that eraser. I guess that's not coming off. No, not going to happen. Alright, we're going to move on to phase 2. We're going to put the upgraded memory into this machine. Now, when these machines were brand new, I almost bought one. I was this close to buying one of these back in 2008. I think it was 2008 when I was actually in the market for a new Mac. And it would have been cheaper than the 20-inch iMac that I ended up buying. Not by much, but it would have been a little bit cheaper. I didn't do it because I was already unimpressed with the build quality of these machines. Little did I know they would actually end up holding up, you know, for the long term, but I just didn't, they felt kind of flimsy to me, and I didn't think they would hold up very well. Let's take a look at this hard drive. And I just noticed something that I want to point out to you also. This is where the hard drive goes. This is the easiest hard drive to replace on any Mac product, Apple product. And this is the original 120 gig. Let's take a look at the build date. 08031. That's, I believe that's 2008. 08031. What was that, 30? Was that maybe 31st week? I don't know. I don't know how to decode the Seagate date codes, but because this is a Seagate and not a Hitachi drive, I am more confident that it will actually hold up. The Hitachi drives, the 80 gig Hitachi drives, were almost guaranteed to fail. I mentioned this in, I think it was in the iMac video that I made recently. But the 80 gig Hitachi drives, if you happen to get one of these and it still has one in it, take it out and smash it. They're junk. Those 80 gig Hitachis accounted for, God, well, they kept me busy, I'll tell you that. They just kept failing. They would not stop failing. Even the replacements kept failing. And I think Apple started shipping them when they were still under warranty. They were shipping me 120 Seagates to replace them with. Here, so I'm glad so this is actually the original memory. These originally shipped with a couple of 512 sticks in there. That's 1 gig of RAM. But look at the contacts here. You might be thinking, gosh, that's all corroded. There must have been a liquid spill. Not the case. When these were manufactured, they actually had a little bit of dielectric grease in the memory sockets. That's actually how they came from the factory. So that white stuff that you see is normal. That is perfectly normal. That's just dielectric grease. And I've only seen this on the MacBooks. I've never seen this on an iMac. And it wipes right off. It doesn't harm anything. It's just there because that's just how it is. Now we're going to put these two gig modules, and I'm going to plug my favorite memory company, DMS, DataMemorySystems.com. They're actually a company that is based in the eastern part of New Hampshire. And they do wholesale and bulk memories. They also do small orders too. But I actually buy bulk from them, and I get a very good price. And I've been buying memory from these guys for years. And I used to buy memory directly from Crucial, but these guys are saving me boatloads of money, and I couldn't be happier. I did notice something on this machine that is an indicator that the keyboard had in fact been replaced under warranty. And I'm going to point that out to you once I get this last memory stick in there. Okay. Now, one way to tell if the keyboard has ever been replaced, either under warranty or otherwise, is to look at this label here. Notice something odd about it. This corner is partially lifted, which indicates that this had been peeled off of the original keyboard and reapplied. That is how Apple wanted these labels transferred. So whenever a keyboard was replaced, you were supposed to remove the old sticker, which contained the serial number and system build information. Actually, no, it doesn't have any build info on it. Yes, it does. It tells me it's a white, because these came in black too. 2 gigahertz, 2x512, which is the original RAM, 120 gig hard drive, combo drive, AP and Bluetooth. That's AP would be airport, and BT for Bluetooth. And it also has the Ethernet ID and the serial number and the airport ID. Okay, so that tells me that the keyboard had in fact been replaced, which may be why it's an, oh, look at this. Look at this. Now, these screws here are only in partially. The reason for that is these were an absolute bear to install. And the Apple technician who did this probably was a bit of a rookie. There's a trick to it. And you have to use, number one, you have to use a long shank screwdriver. This is too short. You have to use one with a long shank. And I might have one here. No, nothing longer than that. Okay, well we can make do with what we have. I have better screwdrivers. I actually have the correct screwdriver at work. The reason you want a long shank is because you don't want the angle of attack to be greater than like 5 degrees. And with a longer shank, the key or the screwdriver can lay closer to the edge of the battery compartment. So the trick is you actually have to press down. Oh, I dropped it. It's gone. It's gone forever. Oh well. I'll find it. Let's take the other screw out. The other screw is in just as perilous condition. Also, you want to realize that there are 2 different screw lengths, and there's a reason for that. There is one position where the screw length is long, and I think there's 2 short ones. But those screws are an absolute bear to install, so I'm not gonna give the original service technician a hard time. I mean, I've been there myself. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try putting this in again. But we have to press down on the back of the machine to line the holes up correctly so that it doesn't cross thread. And that's easier said than done. And it's working just fine. I just don't like seeing sloppy work like that. It really makes you know, technicians look bad. When people don't want to do their job correctly, it just makes everybody look bad. And that's a pretty obvious, you know, mistake to make too. I mean, any discerning customer is going to notice this. So I'm just putting them in again. You want to really make sure that you're not cross-threading it. That's where people make a lot of the mistakes. And you also want to make sure that you're using the right length screw. I can already tell you I'm good. Well, let's see what that looks like now. I've been doing this a long time, and you learn little tricks as you go along. And you get to learn, as you do 100 hard drive replacements on one particular model, you get to figure it out, you know. The other thing, you want to make sure that these are actually, it's like a foam wire mesh covered foam. This is what's used for EMF shielding. And what it does is it covers the memory socket to reduce the risk of EMF interference. And those little foam ears, put the camera like this, when you're putting this cover in place, notice how that foam wants to sit up. Actually, this one's behaving. A lot of times it doesn't behave like that. It wants to get stuck between the door and the body of the machine. But what you can do is take a black stick, but since I'm not at work, I'm going to use what I have. I'm going to use a flathead screwdriver, and I'm just going to poke at it, get it under there. There we go. Perfect. So I'm going to screw these in. But yeah, it's easier if you have a long shank screwdriver. We're talking something with a 6-inch or 7-inch shank. And what size is this? This one is, printing is gone. Like, I don't know if this is a 00 or, I think it's like a 0 or a 00. Phillips head. Alright, so now we get those in. And the memory upgrade is done. Cleanup is done. Inspection is done. I also want to point out, now this is where I have a lot of problems with these. The original batteries tend to do this more often, I think, than the aftermarket ones. But what happens is the battery begins to swell. The cells inside here will eventually start to expand as they degrade. And once that battery, and this can happen, by the way, on a laptop that is sitting in a cart, not plugged in or anything. I've seen it happen, where the battery just does it on its own. It just starts to swell up, and eventually it starts to split the case apart. With enough swelling and with enough expansion, the keyboard, or specifically the trackpad, will no longer function. Furthermore, you'll notice that the laptop won't sit flat on a level surface. One easy warning sign, one thing to look out for in these batteries, this one's stone dead, it's been a while since I've had this plugged in, but what happens is the battery will start to form two long wear marks here and here, or sometimes just in this general vicinity. And those wear marks are caused by the battery expanding beyond the rubber feet. So as the laptop is used on a desk or a flat surface, the battery becomes the laptop's resting surface, or foot, if you will. So watch out for that. And if the battery is swollen at all, it's best to just replace it or remove it, because eventually it will cause the machine to no longer function. In my years of doing this work, I have never once, not once, have I seen a lithium-ion battery explode or burst beyond its shell. The batteries are built with safety in mind. The cells are actually encased in it's actually a metallized polymer, or there's another name for that. It's mylar. They're actually encased in a mylar. It's like a bag, if you will. And that bag can expand quite a bit before it bursts. It allows the cell to outgas within the pouch without exploding. And this is required, I believe, for the laptop to be used in an aircraft. Some older laptop batteries don't have that polymer, and they are able to basically explode without any containment allowance in the battery's design. And that's when you see that's when you start seeing laptop battery explosions, where there's smoke and flames and shit shooting out the machine. But you won't see that on these. I've never seen that on one of these batteries. It's never happened to me, and my organization has dealt with God, I think at the peak number we had, I think, was like 200 or 300 machines, and I've replaced all of those batteries at least twice. And I've even used aftermarket batteries, and I haven't seen that before. So I also want to point one other thing out. This laptop has been dropped, and I'm going to tell you how I know. This is good information if you're looking at buying one of these on eBay as a collector's item, because Lord only knows they're really not that great to use on the internet today. But you can tell if a laptop has been dropped, and this is a dead giveaway. Look at the way the lid lines up with the body. In fact, right here, I just noticed it too. This lid is twisted over quite a bit. Now, I could straighten this out by disassembling the machine and bending the hinges back, but I'm not gonna. I mean, it works, so I'm not gonna mess with it. But it's been dropped before, and you can even tell because there are stress cracks. Like there's a stress crack right here. There's a stress crack. I don't see this a lot either, but there's a stress crack on the front of the shell that probably cracks all the way through. And I knew there was one on the back, and it's pretty nasty. It had likely been dropped, I don't want to say on this corner, but something happened here too. And you can see it's spidering over here. Get a better light here. But that doesn't mean the laptop is junk. It just means it'll never be a collector's item. Not in this universe. But yeah, it's been dropped. It's been hit. It's been banged. It's been around the block, but it's in pretty good shape overall. I would say it's not busted to pieces. Not yet, anyway. All right, let's move on to phase 3. We need to now image this machine. Oh, I forgot to clean this too. I'll clean that off. But we need to image this machine with a clean install of OS 10.6. Okay, to image this laptop, I'm going to run my laptop off its battery, which hasn't been done in a while. It could use the exercise. But I forgot to grab the power supply for this gem of a machine when the guy gave it to me. So I'm going to have to just kind of use my own. I only have one. Obviously, that's kind of stupid, but I only have one. I'm going to make sure the machine boots first before I go any further with it. I know it did last time I checked it. Oh, one other thing that I noticed is the bezel around the display is in pretty good shape. There are no cracks around it, which is pretty rare, at least for what I'm used to seeing. Now these dark spots that you see on the camera aren't really there in real life. They're showing up on the camera, but not really in person. It's pretty clean. I mean, this is a good serviceable laptop. I think you'll probably get about a year or two out of it before he Paula Super's computer. Okay. Anyway, whatever. So we're going to just shut it down. I actually, by the way, here's a quick lesson in passwords. I guessed the password, I think, on the second try. I think it was password. Yeah, it's password. First try. Whoever owned it did clear off their data, thankfully, so that's good. I wanted to check the machine's model identifier. It's running 10.4.11, by the way. I want to make sure that this thing can run 10.7 without any major hacks. Now, there was a utility that I've been hearing about that allows you to run, it's a 2.1, so the utility that I've heard of, it allows you to run newer operating systems on older Macs, even though they're technically not allowed. It is a Core 2 Duo, so I think this machine will at least run 10.7, which I have, but I need 10.6.8 on there first. In order to make magic happen, I need 10.6.8, and I'm going to do some, I'm going to do a trick to see if it works. To install an Apple installer that is expired. We'll talk about that in a minute. Late 2006 is the family, the age of the machine. And this is the one we've got. This is the Core 2 Duo 13-inch white, 2 gigahertz, and I love everymac.com. They have everything I need to know. Actually, this information is available from Apple, so. Original prices. Canada, Mexico, US, where's the damn US? United, oh there it is. $10.99. $10.99. Yeah, that would have been much cheaper than my Mac that I ended up buying. Maximum RAM is 4 gigs, which we've got in there now, and it shows up. Good. And this is mostly, by the way, for your benefit, not mine. I already am pretty certain it can run 10.7. I just wanted to show you guys what this looks like. Those of you who don't know how to figure this out, 10.7.5 is supported, and we need to get 10.6.8 on there first. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to restart it in target disk mode. I'm not doing anything special. I'm not using, and I do this on purpose because I want my videos to be easily followed by anyone. Alright, holding down the T. My host computer is running El Capitan with no modifications, without any special utilities installed. I'm using a FireWire cable. That's the one thing you're going to have a hard time with. I'm using a MacBook Pro circa 2011. So my machine still has a FireWire port, FireWire 800. I'm using a FireWire 800 to a FireWire 400 cable to make this happen. You'll notice that the machine mounts as if it's an external hard drive. Boom, there it is. And it's got, yeah, they cleared everything off of it, thank God. It'd be scary if they didn't. I actually have the image I need right here in my, actually have an image folder here somewhere. Documents, Apple, images, disk images, where the hell did I put it? Oh, I know where it is. There we go. Should be under, oh wow, my Kindle jailbreak tool is in here still. I jailbroke my Paperwhite Kindle once just for fun, and yeah, well, alright. Apple Disk Images 1068. Open with disk utility. Or not. We do need to open it though. And we're not going to verify, we know it's good. It's all good. Alright, there it is. And it's as simple as this. All you need, and this you can do in Disk Utility, that comes with El Capitan, which is a cut down version of Disk Utility. Apple's really trying to streamline things by removing all kinds of cool stuff. That's Apple, that's what they do. And we're going to launch that. I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to rename Macintosh HD. Just to avoid confusion, because I have 3 Macintosh HDs mounted, well, 2 mounted. And I don't want to accidentally destroy the good one. It's easy to do. Okay, there's my external. Here's my disk image. So what I need to do is go to Edit, Restore, Restore From. Now this is where it gets interesting. Restore From, and it won't let me select. There it is. I don't think this will hit Restore. Restore, see, it's worded incorrectly. Would you like to restore to Macintosh HD? Macintosh HD will be erased and replaced with the data on... Oh, it's backwards. That's what I had to point out. It's backwards. So if I click on my disk image and I hit restore, it means, do you want to erase the disk image, well, whatever you've selected, with something else? It is totally misleading. You actually have to click on the target and then hit restore and then select your disk image. Make sense? I didn't think so. It's Apple. What do you want? Hit restore. Oh, it failed. Why did it fail? I know why. I know why. Let's try that again. Restore from. Up. I think it yeah, Macintosh HD. Cancel. Let's make sure it's not been relabeled. I don't want to mess this up. I only have 1 copy of this image, and I should back it up, but actually I did back it up. It's on my external hard drive. So let's see. There are other utilities, but they don't work in 10.11. One of them was Super Duper doesn't work in 10.11 because of a utility that Apple has enabled to protect the operating system, and I've disabled that utility from the command line. I forget what it was called, but it's not important right now. Restore from Mac HD. Would you like to restore to Macintosh HD external? Yes, restore. And that's how it's going to go on. I actually do have a backup of that image, so if I fuck it up, that's okay. Validating source and target and source. There it goes. Now we're on. We're on. We're going. We're going to restore this machine. By the way, the image is actually a machine that we built at work. It was a 1068. It's a 1068 clean image. We built it. Actually, my network admin built it. It's basically an out-of-box experience with the updates to 1068. That's what it really is, and it works on any machine I throw it on. So I've used it on a bunch of old classic machines, including the Power Mac G5s. Or I'm sorry, the Power Mac, the Mac Pros. It works on the Mac Pro 1,1s. So we're now restoring this. Could take about an hour and a half or so. Okay, so now we're ready to fire it up. I learned very quickly that the internal battery is flat dead. Stone dead. Flat. Blotto. Never gonna work again. Hopeless. History. Out of here. Unable to take a charge. No longer a serviceable item. Dead. The exact opposite of alive. It's basically the Michael Jackson of batteries. It's toast. Anyway, what does this battery, my grandmother, and have in common? I was trying to think of other people, but they're all dead. Alright, it is booting up, and we're going to be presented with the Mac OS 10.6.8 splash screen. Here we go. Oh, there it goes. So that's a good thing. For the first time in this laptop's long and storied history, it is running an OS newer than 10.4. I'm drinking this generic cola. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and fill out the biographical information. Please hold. Okay, I've got the account setup done. It won't connect to my wireless network. I don't know why. It sees me. I put in my magic word. Unless, ooh, I'm going to do a quick show password to make sure it appears right. Yeah, that's the correct password. I had to tell you that. There it goes. It's connecting. All right, so that's good. Now, for my next trick, I'm going to turn wireless off. If I try to run the 10.7 installer, which is obviously Lion, if I run this installer, it's going to tell me that the certificate has expired. Here's how we're going to get around that. Bear with me. I have a method to my madness. Actually, I think the exact quote is, though madness, there is method to it. And real quick, I'm going to show the hard disk and connected servers. And there. The gentleman who owns this machine has never used a Mac before. In fact, and the other, this is very interesting. Okay, everybody has their own interpretation of what junk is. Like, what is junk? I mean, when do you call it quits on something? And I told him that when we're done with this, the laptop that he's currently using, which is a Windows XP machine with a, I think it has an old AMD like Sempron or something. It's 100 years old. It's from like 2004. I am not even joking you. That is what he uses now. And I said, we're going to have to scrap that thing. And he looked at me like he was about to tear up. He's like, well, it's like new. I'm like, no, John, it's not like new. That laptop is, it's 100 million years old. I mean, you can keep it, but I'm just saying, I'm not fixing it. He wants me to fix it for him. No, I'm not fixing it. I'm not fixing a Windows XP machine for somebody who's going to get viruses in 2 seconds flat. Oh, man. I felt so bad for the guy. It's hard not to. But the laptop that he wants to use, it's from 2004, for crying out loud. Throw it away. And it's not like, it's not in good shape. It's actually pretty battle worn. It's not like a pristine laptop that, you know, he paid $1 million for or something. No, it's an absolute piece of junk. I mean, it's got cracks and worn out paint, but he loves it. I think that's great. But I'm not fixing it. Not for free. I have my limits. I like helping people out, but I'm not going to waste my time. That's foolish. Now, to make this work, I have to backdate the system. Now, the file was dated August 19th of 2011. I'm going to change the date to August 20th, 2011. We're going to uncheck that. We're off the internet. And we're going to backdate. And here's what's going to happen. We need to fool the machine into thinking that it's a long time ago. Because there's a certificate that specifically checks the system date for validity. And if it's past a certain date, it expires. Pretty cool, huh? Let's see. I'll do yeah, we'll just do 08. Oh, 8, 20, 2, 0. No, huh? Just select it by hand. 2011. Time doesn't matter. Congratulations. It's 2011. Party on. Go back in time. Gotta get back in time. Alright, so just to backpedal a little bit, I did try installing this 10.7 installer before, and I've tried it on multiple machines, and I keep getting a certificate expired warning. Now, the correct way to install this app is to have it on the desktop. Because what's going to happen is the installer is going to want to delete it from the desktop after it's installed. So, back when this came out, the only way to, at least that I knew of, the only way to get a copy of it for your own distribution legally, or semi-legally, is to copy it before the installer begins. And that's how I got my copy. I bought it back when Apple was still charged. This is the last OS I believe they charged for. The last update. So here we go. We've backdated the machine. It's off the wireless network. Let's see what happens. There's no password. Well, we've made it this far. So we could potentially have 10.7 running on this machine within just about an hour. Not too bad. Now, my laptop battery is dropping fast. This thing needs a new battery. I know that much. It hasn't been properly maintained. It's also a little over 5 years old, so, you know, shit happens. Alright, so, actually it's older than that. Almost 6 years old. Anyway. No, not quite 6 years. No, not quite 6 years. It'll be 6 years in February, I think. So here we go. It's going. It's moving along, and all right, we'll see what happens. Still going. What do you do when you're just waiting for an OS to install? Spin around in the chair, maybe. See if we can get dizzy. Wee. 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 Oh, slowing down, slowing down. Wee. Oh, shit! I kept hitting the side of the table, and now I'm all dizzy. Wait, I still can do this. What else do you do when you're waiting for OS installs? Household chores, those are done. This chair has excellent bearings. I am really getting dizzy. Whoa, shit! Ah! I don't want to fall. You guys getting dizzy too? Yeah, whoa, I'm really starting to feel it now. Oh boy. Now let's try to walk down the stairs. Not done spinning yet. Still going. Nothing outlasts the Energizer chair. It keeps spinning and spinning and spinning. Whoa, alright, now let's try to get down the stairs. Oh shit. Oh my god. Keep hitting the walls. Whoa. I'm not acting, I'm really this dizzy. Alright, first time booting, 10.7. Here we go. Let's see what's going to happen. It's now 11:08 p.m. by the way, in case anyone wanted to know. Took a little while, but yeah, we're on our way. I'm on my way. I got this laser thermometer. Let's see what the exhaust temperature is on this puppy. We got 116 degrees Fahrenheit. Now the MacBook Pro right next to it is 109. Make a couple of readings here. We got 88 degrees, 93.5. For reference, the desk, 77 degrees, 94.5. 96, but right in the middle, 124.5. See if I can see any light from this thing. No, sorry, I think it's an infrared thermometer, not a yeah, it's infrared, not laser. Alright, 10.7 is running. We have wireless. We should have internet access by now. Let's take a look at that. Boom. Yes, we do. Apple.com. Loading for you. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and eject and remove all this stuff. There it goes. I'm going to just update it as high as I can. I don't want to pass this machine off without all the pertinent updates. I think there's actually a 10.7 update rollup. I'm running just plain old 10.7, so I'm going to just download the 10.7 update rollup from Apple, and you can still do that. 10.7. I think if I just search for 10.7, it'll come up. I think that's how I found it before. That might be under Lion. Lion updates. You actually have to download it outside of the App Store, I think. It's not showing up. Let's see what software update does for us. I think I already tried that. Here we go. They actually do have them all bundled up in one big old package, I think. I know they have them. I've downloaded them for work years ago, and they were still there last I knew. So let's see what we get. Of course, I gotta fix the date and time now. We don't need to worry about that expired certificate anymore. So we're going to just go ahead and fix that. Ba-ba-da bing. I'm going to go ahead and turn Bluetooth off. I wonder what the battery status is. It's probably going to tell me the battery's, well, blotto. I didn't mean to do that. Whoops. Show details. Yeah, they've got the 10.7.5. It is still there. Okay. I thought we had to download it, but I guess I don't. Agree. System report. And power. Battery is replaced now. It actually tells you. Replaced now. Voltage 4,000 millivolts. Eugh. 51 amps. Yeah. The good news is he can go on eBay and buy himself a battery for 10 bucks. I shit you not. They're not going to be good, but I'll tell him to buy a couple of them. They're not going to last, but what's 15 bucks on a battery, right? They're not really good batteries, and you know, they're not the best of quality, and they'll probably explode, but battery's a battery, right? I don't know, but I will give him that option. So that is where we're going to end this video. I thank you for watching, and we have just taken a machine that was headed to the scrap bin and repurposed it. So he got this machine from a friend of his who he met. See, he hangs out at the town dump, I guess, and he knows everybody in town. So somebody gave him this laptop, and he accepted it. He's an interesting guy. He's kind of like Forrest Gump, in a good way. I've known the guy my entire life. Cancer survivor, actually. So I wanted to hook this guy up with something a little bit better than this one. But I just don't have any. I don't have any laptops that I'm confident won't be colossal failures. I have a lot of the ill-fated. I forget what model they were, but the MacBook Pros and the. Actually, I did a video on one recently, but they're all flaky. They all have weird issues, and they're just ready to die. And this one is in pretty good shape. You know, it'll run 10.7 at least, and I've heard that you can run up to, you know, like 10.8, 10.9 on them, but we're gonna see how 10.7 works for him, and if I come up across something new, a little bit nicer, then I'll give it to him. But for now, this is all he's gonna get, I guess. But this is the one he brought to me and said, "Can you fix this for me?" And I said, "Sure." I'm going to bed. It's getting late. Have a good night.